Hey, good morning, friends. Pastor Jason here for our Saturday check-in. Um, not not quite the full standalone palate cleansing message that the last few Saturdays have been. It's a really caught up a lot still with that idea of the hard heart versus the softened heart, with that heart of stone versus the heart of sponge. And what we're doing in our small group right now, we're reading through this plan. It's called Tough as Nails. It's centered around Daniel, the book of Daniel, but with other Old Testament prophets and writings brought in as well, all kind of centered around the period of exile for the Israelites when they've been carried away to Babylon. Jerusalem is destroyed, the temple is destroyed, and just all of the events, right before that, during that period of exile, and then when the Israelites return as well. One of our readings for this past week is from Daniel 3. And I think there's just a couple really great examples of how impactful having that soft, open heart can be here in the book of Daniel. Even earlier on in Daniel 1 and 2, Daniel interprets the dream for the king. He does what no one else in the kingdom can do because he's still open to God, despite the fact that he's been kidnapped and carried off to this other kingdom. He's aware probably of the atrocities and the violence that have happened back in Jerusalem, but he still continues to make himself available to God. He interprets the dream for the king and sees himself and some of his friends who are elevated to the status of authority in Babylon. So we see, rather than hardening his heart out of the situation he's in, he keeps it soft, he keeps it open. And it works out really well for him. In Daniel 3, we get the story of Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. And when they're tossed into the furnace and they're not burned, they're not singed, and it appears as if there's four men and they're walking around in the fires. It's as if the Son of God is in there protecting them, keeping them safe. But this all starts because Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego refuse to bow down to the golden statue that has been made by the king. The king brings them in and says, "Is this true? Do you refuse to bow down to my statue?" And he tells them what's going to happen. "I'm going to throw you into the furnace as hot as we can make it, hotter than normal. I'm going to kill you if you don't do this." And their response to the king is this: is "If our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the furnace of blazing fire and out of your hand, O king, let him deliver us. But if not, be it known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods, and we will not worship the golden statue that you have set up." In spite of their circumstances, Meshach, Shadrach, Abednego, Daniel, the Israelites who have kind of taken this place of authority here in Babylon, they're not letting the power go to their head and harden their hearts. They're not letting their anger and frustration over being kidnapped and hauled away harden their hearts. They continue to keep it soft and open and let God speak into them. Let's be honest. In these circumstances, they've been kidnapped from their homeland, hauled off to someplace else. They have probably a pretty good life here in the kingdom. We know they're set apart. They're in a position of authority already. No one would have blamed these three men if they would have cursed God and bowed down to that statue and just hardened their hearts. But they don't. They're resolute in their commitment to God, in their faith in God. They don't waver. Their hearts are open and their hearts are soft, even to the idea of, hey, you know what? God's going to rescue us from this furnace. But if not, we can't bring ourselves to worship your golden image. We can't bring ourselves to bow down to your statue. Hardened hearts bow down when things get tough. Hardened hearts forget about all the love and all of the goodness in the past. Hardened hearts forget about the promise of restoration that comes right alongside all of the laments of the exile. Soft hearts, open hearts allow for the big picture. They allow for us to lament and to weep and to mourn, but a soft heart is open to the idea of that restoration is still promised. Forgiveness is still promised. Reconciliation is still promised. And we can jump way farther ahead in the scriptures and see that the resurrection is still promised. A hardened heart is focused on just simply the now and just making it through into the next moment. That soft heart, that open heart is able to look backwards, be present in the moment, and able to look ahead. The willingness, the bravery of Daniel, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego to keep their hearts open, to have that heart like a sponge, sets the stage for Mordecai and Esther and for Ezra and for everyone who is eventually to come to play a role in getting the nation of Israel back in their homeland, rebuilding the temple of God that's built on the foundation of these open hearts of these men in the book of Daniel who just refuse to harden their hearts. They stand firm on hard feet, but they maintain a soft heart, and that puts them in a position to still be used by God no matter what the circumstances are. Let's just breathe that in just a bit. And I just invite you to take a look around today, look around our context, look around our setting, our city, our workplace, our family. Are we still open to God? Are we still open to God's purpose? Or have we hardened our heart and we're starting to worship the wrong things, to bow down to the wrong things, to just make it through another day? Or can we keep our hearts open? Can we keep our hearts soft and keep eternity in perspective? That big picture view that a soft heart is able to stretch out and kind of get around, that a hardened heart just can't comprehend. A hard heart is short-sighted, friends, and it's selfish, and it has a narrow view of the world. May our hearts be soft enough to expand and take in just the grand narrative, the grand scheme, just the depth and the width of the promises of God for us. May we have a heart that is flexible enough and nimble enough to just take in just everything that God has promised and continue to play a role even in times like these. We can set the stage now for those who come after us to build upon our faithfulness here and now. Let us keep that big picture view. Thanks for spending this time together this morning. Friends, hope you have a wonderful day. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow, weather permitting, 8:30 a.m. outside on the Asbury lawn or on Facebook Live at 10 o'clock. Look forward to seeing you, to worshiping together. Friends, be safe, be well. Remember how much that you are loved. Thanks.